Greetings, Candice Sanderson, author of The Reluctant Messenger, Tales from Beyond Belief. What I wanted to do today was share a meditation that I had a few days ago, March 18th, 2019. I was at the Church of Spiritual Light for their twice monthly Reiki and crystal bowl meditation. It's one of my favorite places to go. I made myself comfortable in the lounge chair and, added another blanket and a pillow and was getting myself tucked in when immediately I found myself immersed in this beautiful vision. I was in the middle of a very deeply wooded forest, and I was standing on a path, on a road, actually in the fork of a road. And I knew I had to make a decision on which path to take. I felt like I was in Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. There was a choice to be made, and I was the only one who could make that choice. And then a message started, one brief sentence, or actually question: which is your path? And as that question reverberated in my mind, I looked around. I wanted to remember the details of this vision. Everything felt so real. I could actually smell that. I could smell the pine trees. That musty, cool, damp smell that you get from pine. And I was walking on this path that I was guided to take, and I apparently was barefoot, and I could feel dried leaves that crunched underneath my feet. I felt a wind blowing in my face, and I actually had to, I brushed the hair across my face, had to pull it out of my eyes. The ground changed, and I realized I was walking on very soft moss. This just felt so real. It felt like I was actually there. And then I heard a noise, and it sounded like a brook, like a babbling brook. And I figured that must have been a cue or a clue for me to walk in that direction, so I did. I found myself going up over a small hill, a little incline, and then at the top of the hill, as I looked down, I saw this beautiful babbling brook. It was a beautiful stream, absolutely crystal clear. I went to it, actually put my hands in the water, and I, reached in and picked up a rock, and it was very smooth, and I immediately knew that the, quote, rivers of time had changed these rocks, that at one time they had been very rough and very, very rounded, and now they were very, very flat and very smooth. They had a very smooth texture. And I realized that this was probably an analogy for me, that, perhaps if I followed the right path, it would smooth out my rough edges. Would it make me become one with the divine path? And as those words entered my mind, I found myself actually like melding with this beautiful body of water. I just sank into it. I felt kind of like a leaf that I was floating on the water, but it was more than that. I knew I had actually become part of it. And then I had another brief message. The message was, come, allow. Rest your weary bones in these deep, relaxing waters. Let it replenish your soul. Allow divine grace to flow through your cells. Allow these waters to lead you through the path of righteousness. And I realized, especially the part about flowing through your cells, that this was probably preparing me as the Reiki practitioners would do their energy healing, and also for the vibrations from the crystal bowls. So I decided that I would really literally go with the flow, and I just allowed it. And I allowed these divine waters to just take me down this path, wherever this water was leading. I didn't know where I was going, but at the same time it felt very familiar. But I really was literally going with the flow. as I looked around and there was nothing but beautiful, beautiful nature. I could hear birds fluttering overhead. I could hear their melodious song, throughout the woods. Then I saw a large deer. A deer came and drank from the water, and I knew that it was really replenishing its body. And as this little stream continued to flow through the river, it picked up little streams of water. It fed it, so it became larger and larger. And before long, this became a small river. And it became swifter. The water started rushing. It felt like it had to go somewhere, and I was right there with it. And I just remained. It was going very swiftly now to some unknown destination, but I trusted. I actually felt at peace, and I felt like I was at home. And then I heard the words "river of light." So I knew I was traversing these rivers of light. And as soon as those words entered my mind, the river just like lifted up into the sky. And as it entered the cosmos, I got this glimpse of a large brown bear. And then I heard the words Ursa Major. I also saw a horse, but it was more than that. I actually became the horse, and I felt like that it had been set free. And I was just flying out among the cosmos, and I had become one with the stars. I was the light, and I was free from my physical body that had, bound me for all these years to the earth plane existence. I was part of everything, and I was everything at the same time. As I think about this, for the longest time, I was so reluctant to share my spiritual experiences. And sharing it when I wrote my book was definitely taking that less traveled road. This is the path that I took is a path that many people are, still uncomfortable about, even reading about, much less experiencing. But I felt like as the, meditation had begun, I had I had taken that road less traveled, and it had indeed made a significant difference in my life. Publishing my book took just a tremendous amount of courage for me, but now I feel like that courage is actually paying off. I can't tell you, every week I get more and more people that connect with me, and they write to me and they tell me how they've been touched by the book. Some people have told me their meditation experiences are deeper now because they've read the book. That it's allowed them to open up. Others have told me that they've had dreams or messages from people who have departed, their loved ones, and they always thought that was maybe just wishful thinking, but now they know differently, and they realize that these are actually messages that they're getting from their departed loved ones. It's not wishful thinking at all. And others have been touched in ways that I would never have thought about. So I really am happy that I did take that road less traveled, because it has helped others. It's helped to guide them on a different path too. And believe me, if I can open up and receive messages, anyone can. Several days after the meditation, which happens to be today, I sat down at my computer to type up my handwritten notes, and I decided to do a little bit of research. I typed Ursa Major in a search engine, and then I could only smile when I found out that it is a constellation called Big Bear. And I couldn't help but laugh, because as I was on this river of light that went up into the cosmos, I saw a large bear. So I thought, okay, this was so much like the book. I would have an experience, and there would be new information. I mean, it was new information to me. I know nothing about the night sky. I can find the Big Dipper. that is it. I had heard the name Ursa Major before, but had no earthly idea that it was called Great Bear. So I started reading more, and then I found out that the brightest stars from the Great Bear make up the bowl of that Big Dipper. And the Big Dipper is something that's called an asterism because it's a pattern of stars actually within a constellation. And as I started thinking about Big Dipper, I realized, I had dipped into that river of light, and that river of light had spilled over into the cosmos. So perhaps it was that Big Dipper that was also connecting my earth plane existence with that in the cosmos. So I thought that was kind of cool. Then I started reading a little bit more about the Big Dipper, and I found out that the Big Dipper is that one of the points in the Big Dipper is in direct alignment with the great, let me see if I can find it. It's called the Great Square of Pegasus. And I thought, Pegasus, Pegasus was definitely that horse. It's definitely a horse that I saw. It is a flying horse. And as I read about that in the River of Light, I could only just smile at all of this seemed to be confirmed. So not only did I see the horse and I saw the bear, but I also saw the connections too. I looked up a little bit more information about Pegasus, and I found that that word stems from two different Greek words. One means spring, and one means spring forward. And I thought both words really fit, because as I was in this river of light, not only did I spring forward into the skies, but also I had come from the spring, from the river. In Greek mythology, Pegasus, they said that when he would run on the earth, any place that his hooves would hit the ground, then a spring would spring forth also. So all of this information afterwards really just kind of fascinated me, and I could really only shake my head with disbelief. It's like, this is something that I guess I'll never get used to, when information that's unknown to me comes across through the meditation. And I love it that this information will coincide. But I think the takeaway from this meditation was really learning to let go of judgment, learning to trust, learning to just go with the flow, and trust what you receive. Don't judge the information as you receive it. Write it down, try to remember it, and later look it up. But when you do so, when you can learn to really go with the flow, then I think that really will help your spiritual journey, because it's certainly something that's helped mine. So I hope you find this to be helpful. Feel free to subscribe if you would like, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.